Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Tyrion Attorney of the Arcane. In the last episode, we finished the first case. We got Celeste acquitted, and Garrick Pierce was found guilty. And before we started this case, there was actually just a couple things I want to talk about. The first being that at the end of the last episode, I didn't really talk much about the end or credit scene of the first case. I have to see how the rest of the game goes, but for now, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great addition from the original, because in the original game, if you haven't played it, the four pillar families, or the houses, Freyga and Sybil were never really mentioned much until we met them for the first time. In Sybil's case, we met her in the 5th case, and it's just died immediately, pretty much. And Freyga, he died. We never even got to see him. We might have seen his portrait in a flashback, but I don't know. And I also enjoyed Garrick's little flashback. It definitely makes me feel a little more empathetic than from the original, even though he's still a piece of... yeah. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was these, portraits. These, images here for the cases. In the original, it was they were kind of like this, but there was a character on the front. And if you've played it as early as I've played the game, the 5th case here had major spoilers for who the evil, the big bad of the game was. And I'm going to spoil it because, I don't really care, because I've played this game before. But Eris, her evil sprite, was shown here. And even though in the first episode she was sort of shown for a second, I'm pretty sure that wasn't in the original, or maybe it was. But she was just right here, and you could, and unlike here where you have to click through each one, you could pretty much see all the cases together. So in the original, I could see the 3rd case off to the side. And I think I prefer this more, even if the images themselves are more plain and kind of more boring. It prevents easy spoilers for yourself, so personally I prefer this. But anyway, yeah, with all that said, let's start with the second case, The Walking Dead. Oh, it looks like the name is fixed now. Thank God. Okay. How are we going to be able to get all of this out on time? The myriad of empty plates laid around the kitchen filled Valerie with dread. It was almost time for breakfast, and soon the students would be upon them. Valentina quickly passed by her sister as she snatched a tray off the counter. She was jumping between multiple stations, but even then, each movement she made was quick and purposeful. The kitchen was a machine, and Valentina just had to turn each gear single-handedly. But in her hands, it ran like clockwork. Most of the time. Val, are you finished plating the smoked salmon? Right, sorry. Valerie stared at the excess assortment of food they had prepared for the noble children. She grimly remembered the years that she and her sister spent starving in an orphanage. Are they even going to eat all of this? They won't. They'll taste a few of them and throw the rest out. It still has to be perfect when it hits the cafeteria. Okay. Valerie watched as her sister lifted each of the croissant slices, measuring their width against her index finger. These slices are too thick. It's going to overpower the salmon. Does that really matter? I thought they really liked your croissants. Trust me, if the ratio's off, they will make sure we know. Some of these kids would have us executed for bad plating if they could. Before Valerie could respond, one of the kitchen timers went off. Valentina quickly rushed to the stove and began melting butter in a pot. About that, One of House Frega's attendants came by earlier. Valentina barely glanced away from the pot as she poured a bowl of eggs into it and began beating them. Her face tightened at the mention of Lady Frega. Her whisk moved slightly more violently. What does Miriam want now? She's asking for roasted peacock. For breakfast? She also wants honey-lacquered brioche bread topped with Arcurian whipped cream and Ixian strawberries. And it gets even better. Just grab me the normal stuff from the pantry when you can. You know that spoiled brat can't tell the difference. Here, stir these eggs for me. Valentina handed her sister the pot of scrambled eggs. Valerie's shoulders tensed. She was great with a knife, but her forays with the stove never ended well. What? The stove's on low heat. Just keep stirring. Oh, okay. Valentina's mind was already on the next task. She entered the freezer and dragged out the butchered peacock. Luckily, they just received the meat shipment that morning. It hadn't fully frozen yet. She quickly tossed it onto the counter and began weaving cooking twine around its legs. Scale Lord, these kids have no idea how good they have it. Valentina Ioannis was the Imperial Academy's head chef, and patissier, brewer, butcher, and saucier. The staff that used to fulfill each of those roles will let go one by one, the work of Professor Bellwether and her disdain for the commoners. At first, the twins had welcomed the chance to cook for the children of nobles. The pay was astounding. But it wasn't long before they discovered why this kitchen had seen such a rapid turnover. Hey, you two. How's breakfast going? The Academy's custodian trudged into the kitchen. His posture was heavy and his eyes were half dead. Same as usual, Jan. How about you? Same as usual. Yeah? Valentina recalled the many times she caught Jan napping in the pantry. Oh, Jan, I packed some of last night's risotto on the counter. Val, the eggs! Oh, right. Valentina grimaced as she looked over the pot of eggs. The liquid was no longer emulsified. It was still edible, but it wasn't perfect, something below the Imperial Academy's self-imposed standards. Val, come on, I have that over now. We only left them for a second. You two look busy. I'll just... I'm sorry. I'm trying to look up to see if these are just mirrored sprites, but... No, I don't think so. Yeah, they're definitely a bit different, okay. Valentina pressed her hands together and closed her eyes and took a deep breath. It's fine. Just help me prep the next batch while I grab the ingredients from Miriam's food. Okay, I'll... Oh, gods. Valentina saw her sister tense up. What was it now? Asherin is coming. She doesn't look happy. Are you serious? What is that pretty little... Hello, Miss Bellwether. Professor Bellwether. What can I do for you today, Professor? Care to explain what this is? The Professor presented Valentina with the Eggs Benedict that she'd personally prepared earlier. It looked perfect. It was exactly what she asked for too. I'm sorry, is there something wrong with your breakfast? These eggs are mushy and undercooked. There's no crisp in them at all. Those are poached eggs, Professor. Poached? You know, it's when you boil eggs in a pot of simmering water and... Boiled? Do you think this is what whatever shelter Renmin plucked you out of. I won't swallow another piece of this rustic grime. I expect a meal befitting of the Imperial Academy. Do it right this time. Right away, Professor. Valentina thought of slapping that snooty attitude right off her face. It would be easy. She could have done it right at that moment. What did she have to lose? They were already planning on firing her anyway. But she took a breath. Nothing was worth drawing the ire of Bellwether's friends on the school board. Some professor. Who doesn't know what Eggs Benedict is? These stupid mages wouldn't know good food if I walked up to them and jumped down their throats. Okay, here we go. So, I'm just trying to think about how I feel about that. So that was another additional scene added to the game, definitely. I definitely would have remembered that if that was in the original. Because in the original, I'm pretty sure wherever I think we're going to appear in the library in a second, and that's how the game started in the original. There was no scene like that. I'm liking the extra scenes though. It's added more. I wouldn't say depth to the characters because we didn't really learn like if the rest of the case follows the original, then what if we learned in that scene we already would have known anyway. But I like seeing the situation before everything that's about to happen happens. I'm sorry, Celeste, but there's nowhere left to go. Yeah, that's what I thought. Wait, I think I have something. Celeste's eyes darted around the chessboard, scanning for a way to escape my attack. I could see her measuring every angle of retreat, but I'd been in this endgame plenty of times before. It was already over. Celeste, just surrender. She didn't respond. Her eyes continued to search for the exact piece she needed to move. There, what about that? I immediately moved my knight to respond. Checkmate. Damn it! Can I get it to do over? A do-over? Professionals don't get do-overs. Would you two keep it down? We're in a library. My mentor's eyes were fixed on the chessboard between Celeste and me. Soon, they went straight to me. We were just taking a break. A pretty short break from the looks of it. Oh, so it's gonna be like that? I suppose it's gonna be like that. The Imperial Library was supposedly one of the largest in Wyverngarde. I'd never seen so many books. I honestly felt quite at home here. There was no noise, and everyone kept to themselves. Aside from a few dirty looks from nearly everyone here, I was free to do my research in peace. Something strange had happened during Celeste's trial last week. That final moment with Pierce had awakened something new in me. I used the Eye of Horus in a way I never had before. I wasn't a mage. Mr. Moore and I had confirmed as much when I failed to attune to a blank spell compendium, which meant I couldn't learn arcane magic, but my ability must have been closely related to it. The Imperial Academy was a school for the most talented mages in Wyverngarde. The library on campus supposedly held the kingdom's entire knowledge on magic. But with all the books I'd read, I still couldn't find a single mention of anything like the Eye of Horus. There weren't any arcane spells that could affect the mind, and everything I'd read today had just confirmed that. With all its resources, the kingdom has to have seen something like this. Are they hiding that information, even from the nobility? Are you sure you can't tell me what you're looking for? I've seen a lot when I was travelling outside Wyverngarde. Maybe I can help. Celeste had a point, but Mr. Moore didn't completely get along with her. I'm sure she'd have objections, and even if she didn't, my mentor had always been worried about letting people know about my Eye of Horus. It was a magical ability that didn't follow the rules of arcane magic. The biggest advantage of the Eye of Horus was that no one ever knew about it. Sorry, I can't. Fine. Aren't you supposed to be researching new spells? Oh, I'm almost finished. Already? You should have really challenged yourself more, McCoy. Whatever, Ruby. Now, why don't you tell me what you're looking for? Oh, hello, Eris. Oh, never mind, this is clearly Celeste. They must be researching non-arcane magic. Oh my god, we're under attack! We nearly jumped out of our chairs as that girl appeared next to us. I even saw Celeste's hand twitch toward her sword. This girl must have been a student at the academy, but she didn't dress like the aristocrats here. Her expression was kind, but also blank in a way. It was impossible to read. There was something ethereal to her demeanor. It felt like I was speaking with a ghost. How long had she been standing there? I hadn't noticed her at all. She looked oddly familiar too. I should apologize, but I overheard your conversation. Oh, hello. As she approached our table, another student followed behind her. His eyes stared to each person at the table, like a rodent appraising every threat in the room. In contrast to the girl, he was as tightly wound as a violin. It looked like even the slightest sign of danger would send him scurrying away. Eris, you really shouldn't. Oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe if I apologize, they won't have us executed. It's fine, Wallace. Who are you two? Oh, never mind. Now she's weird. Clearly the name tags thing has not been completely fixed yet. Ah, that was incredibly rude of me. Most everyone calls me Eris Illmater. Oh! Well, that wasn't suspicious at all. Eris Illmater, a mysterious and almost ethereal girl. It's hard to read what she's really thinking. I'm guilty to admit it, but I always feel a sense of dread whenever I'm around her. She seems nice, however I just need to do a better job of checking my preconceptions. This is Wallace Nightgrave. We're both students here. Hi. Wallace Nightgrave, a student at the Wyverngarde Imperial Academy. He's extremely anxious and looks ready to flee at any moment's notice. He's very secretive about the type of magic he studies. That was a private conversation, by the way. Researching unconventional forms of magic is actually a hobby of mine. I might be able to help you with your research, Mr. Cuthbert. And what makes you so sure that is what we were researching? Your protege has a bad habit of muttering to himself when he thinks. Okay. I assumed that his research had something to do with magic that was unlike the arcane. I felt a piercing side glance from Miss Tamara. I just pretended not to notice. But anyways, I'd really appreciate your help. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Of course. I'd be happy to help. Wait, fine. I suppose it wouldn't hurt. Just be more careful, Tyrion. Right. Examine. The library was full of books. I'd be reading through them all morning. It's a globe of the world. It's amazing how many other nations there are aside from Wyverngarde. I've been to most of these places. You should come with me next time, Tyrion. That was a nice thought. Maybe I could find some time to travel with her. There was a newsletter taped to one of the shelves. Due to several instances of crude misuse, Arcane Construct voice lines can now only be set by Headmaster Redmond. There was a table for students to sit at. I'd been here with Celeste all morning. Is that everything? Oh, what's this? It was a holy text of some sort. It must have been related to the Church of Bahamut. I think that's everything. Well, time to talk. Eris and Wallace. Are you two students at the Imperial Academy? I'm currently taking classes here for the illusion program. Illusions? That's the kind of magic that lets you turn invisible, right? Technically, yes, but few mages ever reach that level. I'm a bit sad to admit that I'm not able to cast that arcane spell. That's still pretty cool. What about you, Wallace? Wallace has a unique field of study. Please don't ask him about it. Oh, okay. Tyrion and Celeste. Rumors about you two have been floating around. Really? Many recognize you from the news articles from Miss McCoy's trial. Oh, really? The students were surprised to see you two on the academy grounds this morning. That made sense. In some ways, the school was a cornerstone of the nobility's power. This was the last place anyone would expect us to take an interest in, much less be permitted to enter. Luckily, Miss Tamora had a lot of connections she could pull on. I'm particularly surprised that you're still in Wyverngarde, Miss McCoy. I'd figured the Crimson Demon would be off on another violent escapade. Oh gods, the papers found out about that. Crimson Demon? Don't ask. Anyways, I'm working as Tyrion's personal mercenary now. Mercenary? I'd prefer the term bodyguard. I'd successfully indicted Pierce in her trial, and that invited a lot of unwanted attention. It wasn't long before I found armed thugs suspiciously looming around my house. After what happened to Flintheart, Celeste wanted to stay closer to her mother. Steelwind even kept the teleportation circle from the investigation active for her. Miss Tamora saw an opportunity to hire her as my bodyguard. I did get along greatly with her after all. It was nice to have someone to talk to while I was getting acquainted with being an attorney. It was also nice to have someone who could toss an armed thug with one arm. Unconventional magic. Unconventional magic. One might wonder why you're researching such a thing. I want to know that too. I'm sorry, but I can't really say. There are many spells in this world, and new ones are always being developed. What makes you so certain that this magic isn't arcane? The magic I'm looking for in I was doing so well. I know. I was thinking about it, but I wasn't gonna say anything. Unlike previous episodes, I wasn't stuttering that much, but now it's gone down the drain and everything's gone awfully. The magic I'm looking into doesn't follow the conventions of arcane magic. Oh, how so? Well, I needed to tread carefully. Miss Tamora's glare agreed. It was cast by someone who's not a mage. Oh, really? That implies it was cast by a person, and it wasn't something like artificery. I flashed an apologetic look to my mentor. That does remind me of a story. A story? Mr. Cuthbert, Are you familiar with the legends about how Wyverngarde was created? You mean the story about the ancient dragons? Dragons? I knew you'd find it interesting. The ancient dragons. Are you talking about those stories told by the Church of Bahamut? Technically, there's only ever mention of one ancient dragon, Rathallion, the Scaled Lord. Supposedly, the first mages were created centuries ago by him. What? I never knew that. In the year 10 BSB, Wyverngarde was a small kingdom caught between two warring nations, Ixia to the east and Lumina to the west. I'll talk about this in like 20 episodes from now, but I actually now I never registered this before, but I think this might have something to do with the post-credit scene and like the sequel bait. You know, I'll have to remember Ixia and Lumina. With no way to protect themselves, the kingdom was on the brink of destruction. Its people prayed to Bahamut, the god of dragons, for salvation. And almost as if to answer their prayers, Rathallion, the last of the ancient dragons, appeared before them. He took pity on their plight and granted them the gift of magic. It was a weapon our greatest warriors wielded without equal. With arcane magic in hand, these warriors laid devastation upon our enemies. They didn't just stop the war, they joined the battle and single-handedly won it, taking the large swaths of territory for themselves. With our nation protected and our power made known, these warriors went on to form the noble houses of today. What a load of nonsense. That story is nothing but religious propaganda created to prop up the noble houses. Regardless, the significance of this legend is in the Scaled Lord himself. Rathallion. He bestowed the power to become a mage on several individuals, and to this day, that power can only be passed through bloodline. Can you think of an arcane spell that could reproduce something like that? No, I suppose not. Rathallion had powers that weren't bound by the conventions of the arcane arts. In other words, he could use magic that was distinct from the magic of today. Please, do you honestly expect us to believe a story like that? It's completely unrealistic. As unrealistic as a non-mage using magic? She had a point. It was the closest thing I had to a lead right now. I'm gonna guess this is Bellwether. I have a feeling it's Bellwether. Of course it's you lot making all of this noise. Yeah, okay. One of the instructors of the academy approached us disdainfully. She looked like a woman of the aristocracy. Every bit of her demeanour carried that, from the stiffness of her posture to the condescending grimace on her face. She glared at each of us like we were the most disgusting things we'd ever seen in our life. Professor Bellwether! Catherine Bellwether, a professor who teaches magic at Wyverngarde's Imperial Academy. She is quite abrasive with just about everyone. She seems to have a particular disdain for the commoners. That is Professor Bellwether to you. But he just called you... I knew letting you rabble into our walls would lead to nothing but trouble. You even started associated with our malcontents. Wallace. Yes, sis? How am I supposed to understand you when you're stuttering? Yes, Professor Bellwether. Straighten out your uniform and fix that awful hair. I know it's unreasonable to expect anything more from you, but try not to look like such a street urchin. Wallace shrank away from the professor. He reacted like a scared and beaten animal. I could see Celeste's fist start to clench. She looked like she was about to toss the professor across the room. I flashed her a look. Any trouble we caused would just make things worse for Eris and Wallace. As for the rest of you, your rowdy behavior is disrupting the other students. Leave now. Oh please, the headmaster gave us express permission to be here. That may be, but the school board has placed the Imperial Library under my jurisdiction. I can remove anyone who disrupts the studies of our prized students. Why would you have authority over the library? My apologies, Professor. We'll try to keep a volume lower. I don't believe I was talking to you, boy. Know your place. Oh, Tyrion, please tell me you feel threatened so I can defend you. I wanted to avoid a confrontation, but a part of me really wanted to see that. If you refuse to leave, I'll have no choice but to remove you myself. I'll have you know that I'm the most accomplished mage at this academy. Trust me, you'll find spellcasting difficult while someone's hitting you in the face. Come on me, bitch. I'll wear you like a sweater. I definitely got hints of Flintharsh in our thoughts every so often. I don't have to stand for this. This girl is like a rabid dog. It'd be best to keep my distance. I was just on my way to speak with the headmaster. He will be hearing of this. Oh, you're gonna tell on us? I'm so scared. Celeste, you're a little scary. Huh? Thank you. Anyways, Wallace, you finished this week's assignment, haven't you? Would you mind entertaining Celeste while I aid Mr. Cuthbert? I don't know. Now that you mention it, I could really use some help learning a new spell formula. You know your way around here, right, Wallace? Okay. I'll be discreet, Miss Tamora. Please do. I still have some business to take care of here. I'll leave you to it. She was about to leave, but she stared at Eris warily. Is something wrong, Ruby? No, not at all. I spent the next 2 hours searching through the library's books with Eris. I hadn't thought to look into the ancient dragons. The library had religious texts about them in abundance. There was one problem though. These texts read more like myths than real historical documents. It can't be helped. The Church of Bahamut has far too much influence in Wyverngarde. To them, history is a narrative to be embellished rather than something to be preserved. The bones of the dragons are displayed in Wyverngarde's museums. Without those, most would have no evidence that they even existed. Except for Rathallion, possibly. According to these legends, dragons can't die of old age. Presumably, he'd still be alive. I wouldn't be that surprised. Despite everything, the kingdom includes him in our constitution. Wait, really? As the savior of our kingdom, he and his kin were given an honorary position in our kingdom. The Scaled Lord made Wyverngarde what it is today. He was given authority that befits such a legacy. How have I never heard of this before? I've memorized all of Wyverngarde's laws. Practically speaking, it's never been invoked. It's merely a law spun of reverent words to praise the Scaled Lord and appease the church. I was so stuck in my own thoughts that I actually walked face first into a bookshelf. The shelf slowly began to zip, and I had to catch it before it knocked over the other shelves like a set of dominoes. Several books fell out of it as I slowly set the shelf back in place. They hit the ground with a cacophony of thuds. Some students glanced over at me, annoyed by the noise. I really hoped Bellwether wasn't still around to see that. Be quiet! I wasn't sure where the voice was coming from, but it sounded annoyed. Sorry. That's not Tyrion, but I think it's really funny. I think Tyrion just shouted back, "Be quiet!" Eris giggled to herself as she watched me flounder. Hey, are you okay? We heard a loud noise and... Oh. The two of them scanned over the pile of fallen books around me. What did you do? That's not important. Can you help me clean this up? Ah, there's no need for that. Wallace, can you call over the construct? Why do you always make me do it? Please. Construct, I require assistance. I'm not satisfied with Wallace's voice, but I'm not sure what... I want to do a meek voice, but I'm not sure... I don't want to do like the judge or Rudolph's voice, but I'm trying to like, make it meek. Construct, I require... Construct, I require assistance. Acknowledged. What is that? Upon Wallace's command, one of the nearby suits of armor suddenly sprang to life and marched towards us. The voice coming from it sounded like a woman's, but it lacked any emotion. I could have sworn that I heard its voice before. Oh, I thought those things were just decorative. This is an arcane construct. It's a suit of armor brought to life using artificery. They're designed to carry out various tasks on campus. Arcane constructs. Arcane constructs are suits of armor that are animated using artificery. They can carry out simple tasks when ordered to. The ones in the Imperial Academy speak using the voice of Catherine Bellwether. These voice lines can only be changed or adjusted by the Academy headmaster. Every command given to a construct is stored in its command log. However, this command log must be cleared regularly. Really? I didn't know that artificery had come that far. They're still experimental. They aren't available to the public yet. House Fun Sanctus is using the Academy as a testing ground for them. Construct, can you please put these books back where they belong? Acknowledged. I'm going to ignore the fact that they're Bellwether's voice for now. Yeah. You're so polite to them. You know they're just machines, don't you? They're really helpful. It just feels wrong to be rude to them. The construct jumps straight into its task, its metallic hands moving with a quick yet delicate precision. It wasn't long before all the books were back exactly where they belonged. Wow, so they do whatever you tell them to? There are some limits to... Construct, tell me that I'm the fairest maiden you've ever seen. Command rejected. Aw, what? I guess I'm not able to lie. Watch it, Cuthbert. The construct's voice is an amalgam of pre-recorded phrases. I'm not sure if you noticed, but it uses the voice of Professor Bellwether. Well, I knew there was something wrong with it. Unfortunately, you can't make them say anything other than basic responses. Only the headmaster can change those sessions. I've heard of artificery recording the audio, but I think that they could process and respond to what I'm saying. I've never seen anything like it. You just said that they are experimental, right? Maybe I can find a way to trick it into doing what I want. I'd advise against that. We've had several instances of students using them to play pranks. Even if your commands are rejected, they're still stored in the construct's logs. And weren't you researching spells with Wallace? Oh, that? I'm already done. I've just been reading in debt at Daggerfall. Did you know that they have the unpublished manuscript of the newest book? Those books were apparently her favourite series of murder mysteries. She'd been recommending them to me for the entire week. And by recommending, I meant she'd been leaving those books around my house. I think at one point, she'd somehow stuck them into Mr. Moore's office. I've really got an earful from my mentor about that one. There's no possible way you're already done learning those new spells. We've only been here a few hours. Yeah, you want to bet? Sure, show me your spell compendium. What? No. I can't tell him yet. I want it to be a surprise. I didn't catch any lies through the Eye of Horus. Was she really telling the truth? I never actually knew the process for learning new spells. I just knew that it involved becoming familiar with unique spell formulas. She was fidgeting a lot when we were reading together this morning. She basically forced me to take a break to play chess with her. If you were in the fiction section, did you get a chance to read Wraithbound? This again? It's a great series, Celeste. The best series I've ever read. Even after nearly a century, those books had aged like fine wine. Look, Tyrion, I'm sorry, but I just can't get into it. The whole thing just feels so hammy and unrealistic. Come on, it's a classic story of good versus evil. Corin Bloomvale is a literary genius. Maybe I need to start leaving my copies of Wraithbound in the McCoy Tavern. Look, I'm just not into the fantasy genre. Good. Those books are terrible anyways. What? I should get back to my work. Good lord. Did I say that out loud? Let's go, Celeste. Okay? Let's keep going, Eris. I had no intentions of letting Celeste get ahead of me. I read more and more about the ancient dragons. I looked at anything I could get my hands on, historical accounts, religious texts, even folk tales. But after finding the 12th embellished story about a dragon fighting a knight, I was starting to lose hope. The most recent story was the worst. It read like the fantasy novels I usually read, but even I had a limit. At this point, I felt like one of those arcane constructs, hollowly reading out the words of yet another myth to myself. The dragon of Roke will rumble, has steam pouring from its mouth. The knight responded in kind, drawing his steel and charging forward. But the dragon had his own weapon. He used his Eye of Bahamut. My dull rhythmic dictation broke when I read that line. Yes, I was very dull. What did it say? Eye of Bahamut. I straightened out of my chair and expanded each subsequent line carefully. He used his Eye of Bahamut to call upon the power of radiance to pierce through the knight's soul. Not a single thought was concealed from his gaze. The knight's thoughts, even his emotions, were laid before the scaled giant. That description sounded eerily familiar. That description sounded eerily familiar. I named my ability the Eye of Horus when I was a child. At the time, I was just copying one of my childhood friends. Oh wow, referencing, I think her name is Mosurika. Referencing her before that's neat. I like that. Oh, was I actually using this Eye of Bahamut? Honestly, Eye of Horus fits better. The Eye of Bahamut. I jumped out of my seat again. How did she always sneak up on me like that? Do you know about this Eye of Bahamut? This is the first time I've seen it mentioned. Legends say that the Eye of Bahamut holds the power to mimic the radiance of the celestial gods. The celestial gods? Are they anything like the Scaled Lord? Not quite, and I doubt you'd find anything about them here. The Eye of Bahamut mimics the radiance of the gods. Does that mean the dragon in this story is mimicking the magic related to these celestials? Unfortunately, knowledge of them is quite scarce in Wyverngarde. Even mentioning the celestials could very well tie a noose around your neck. It's forbidden to possess any text that even whisper their names. Ugh, the kingdom must have been suppressed the knowledge of religions other than the Scaled Lord. No wonder I couldn't find any information here. Was this whole morning a colossal waste of time? No, this was the lead. If I couldn't read about the celestial gods here, I just have to look somewhere else. Mr. Moore had a lot of connections. I'm not sure if he'd condone the risk of buying illegal books though. Oh. Suddenly, a low-pitched thrum thundered across the room. It was unnaturally loud. It must have been produced by some sort of magic. What? What is that? Were you messing around with the arcane constructs? What? No. I mean, only a little. I didn't expect that to trip anything. It finally stopped. Eris, wasn't that the lockdown? Yes, I believe so. Lockdown? The Academy is outfitted with a large artificial system. In a state of emergency, it will erect magical barriers throughout the building. The state of emergency? Should we be worried? Don't worry. The lockdown is designed to keep everyone sequestered. We're safe from most threats as long as those barriers stay up. But Mr. Moore, wasn't he still on campus? I'm terribly sorry. A disembodied voice cut through the anxious murmurs of the students in the library. Oh wait, this is probably the headmaster. Students and faculty, please remain calm. There's been attack in one of the lecture halls. What? Please stay where you are and wait for the city watch to arrive. We have to get out of here. What? Tyrion, no, that's the last thing we should do. I ran towards the library entrance, my body crashing into the door. It didn't budge at all. I desperately pushed and pulled at the handle, trying to wrench the door open. Tyrion, stop that! But Miss Tamora, I know that you're worried about her, but it's not safe out there. Look, the best thing we can do right now is stay here and wait until the lockdown is over. I knew she was right, but I couldn't stand here and do nothing. I began kicking the door handle, but my foot was repelled by the low hum of magical energy. It didn't move at all. Ugh. Anyway, now that we're getting close to the end of the episode, I just wanted to find out that I'm actually really enjoying doing this monotone voice for Eris. I hope that it really shows. I think this monotone voice really emphasizes why everyone would be tense around her. And it's really easy to do, so I am really liking this voice for her. Celeste's hand raised on the hilt of her sword. Her eyes slowly scanned our surroundings. The other students were watching her fearfully. No one dared to come near us. Celeste, I think you could calm down. They said the attack was in their lecture halls. She answered him without breaking her glare. We don't know what's happening, and it's my job to keep Tyrion safe. She also calmed me down earlier. It was easy to forget sometimes, but she was really vigilant when it counted. What? Students and faculty, thank you for your patience. The knights have secured the building. The lockdown has been lifted. However, please remain in the building until... He was barely finished with his announcement before I was out the door. Tyrion? Hey, don't go off on your own. I desperately ran through the academy hallways. No. Miss Tamora! Mr. Moore, where are you? I was running blindly. My breath was haggard. My heart was racing. Dread was creamed inside me with each passing moment. I didn't even know where I was going. Cuthbert? What's wrong? Why are you shouting? Mr. Moore, are you okay? You're breathing. Relief washed away my anxiety. I just embraced my mentor tightly. She'd always demanded I keep a professional distance from her, but despite myself, I was just relieved she was safe. Tyrion, there you are. And you're crying? Cuthbert, you're hurting me. Sorry. I let go of her and tried to stifle my tears. We heard the announcement. Are you okay, Ruby? I am, but... Miss Tamora glanced at Wallace. She slowly put herself between us. For now, I think we should head to the fire. We arrived at the fire. The Academy was swarmed with a legion of familiar knights. The Inquisition? Don't tell me. They mentioned that there was an attack on campus. They must have used magic. Hey, you there! As we came into the fire, the commander marched towards us. But his attention wasn't focused on Celeste this time. Huh? Wallace Nightgrave, by the authority of the Wyverngarde crown, I'm placing you under arrest. Before Wallace could react, Orm grabbed him by the wrist and began dragging him away. Hey, what are you doing? You three, the hell are you doing here? You said he was under arrest? On what charges? The charge of first degree murder. This damn mage killed Catherine Bellwether. What? Celeste grabbed the commander's arm and wrenched him off of Wallace. Orm showed no resistance. Clearly remembered what happened during her arrest last time. Like hell you're arresting him. He was with us in the library the entire morning. There's no way he could have murdered her. Step aside, Celeste. But... No, Mr. Moore is right. If Wallace is a suspect, we can't legally stop the Inquisition from arresting him. It'd be best for you to go with them, Wallace. I'm sure we can get this all sorted out. I can only watch as the Inquisition dragged him away. My apologies. I'm going to accompany him. I can't believe this. They arrested him, even though he was in a different room. This school is filled with plenty of mages. There has to be a longer list of suspects. What do we do now? Let's head to the lecture halls. That's when a murder must have taken place. Cuthbert. Yes? He hasn't accepted you as his attorney. You don't even know if you'll be working the case. But I know that he's innocent. She looked like she was about to reprimand me, but she just let out a defeated sigh. Just remember that being an attorney is your job. A law firm isn't a charity. If you overextend yourself, I'm not going to pay your rent for you. Right. I have another appointment in the city. Can you two take it from here? Yes, of course. Alright, let's go, Celeste. Oh, I've been waiting for our first case. Celeste. Wallace was just arrested. Be respectful. Right, sorry. I was reluctant to admit that I was just as excited as she was. Okay. That's gonna be the end of this part. I'm actually a little bit confused because I'm not sure how this is gonna work, because if I'm remembering correctly, in the original, um, the reason Wallace, even though Wallace was in the library maybe I should just end it here. Like, why not? Okay, but in the original, when Wallace was arrested, he was in the library the entire time, like this. But when Tyrion knocked over the bookcase, Celeste rushed faster than him, and they were separated for a couple of minutes. But here, Wallace came with Celeste, so either something different's gonna happen, or I'm just remembering incorrectly. And honestly, I'm probably just remembering wrong because I played this game 3 years ago, so I am probably just remembering incorrectly. But anyways, with that, I'm going to end the episode here, and next time we're probably going to investigate Wallace's crime. Sorry for that I just hit my mic. But yeah, next time we're going to investigate the scenes, probably meet some characters like Miriam, and I'm gonna try and get a nice posh voice for her, which might be this, but hopefully I'm gonna get a better one. And we're gonna just try and figure out what happened, even though that's probably not gonna happen for another 5 hours. But anyway, that's all. Bye bye.